Hey there, and welcome to Making Sales Social Live, brought to you by Social Sales Link. I'm Bob Woods, the LinkedIn Sherpa, and I'm joined by a fellow LinkedIn and social selling professional, also known as the LinkedIn Whisperer, Bryn Tillman. Sup, Bryn?
Bob Woods, how are you, my friend?
Doing good, doing very, very good. Thank you very much. So, you've probably spent some time in college or university. Whether or not you graduated doesn't really matter. You've likely done that. And even if you haven't, that's okay. It might have been very recently that you were there, or if you're like me, it was like when dinosaurs roamed the earth. So, if you're like me, you might be wondering how to put the time and effort you made into your college career and making all those relationships and everything back then into helping your sales efforts today. So, today we're going to talk about leveraging LinkedIn and your alumni status for sales. And this, Bren, is going to go way beyond just using LinkedIn alumni search, which we actually did a show on, I think, a couple months ago. So, that's actually like a subset of that. If you want to learn specifically how to use LinkedIn alumni search, go back and find that show.
Okay, sounds good. Well, before we get to this list, one of the things you mentioned, Bob, is that, we have a network. We've built, a reputation in our university with people that we know. But here's the thing. There's this really strong connection when you meet someone. So if you're overseas and you meet someone from your town, maybe you didn't know them before, you're like, what? There's an immediate connection. You'd even go to lunch with them, right? Same thing with alumni, right? When you've got that great connection with someone, it makes all the difference in the world when it comes to building rapport. It's fast and fabulous. So, Bob, let's start with number
Fascinating.
one.
Well, actually, before we do that, really quick, you just reminded me of a really quick story last week when I was doing a LinkedIn profile for our biggest corporate client, doing a makeover for him. He wanted to make sure that a school that you actually like a lot, Penn State, was prominently featured in his profile precisely because he gets so much business from his Penn State connections. He said like 80% of his business came from Penn State connections. Now that hurts a little bit being an Ohio State fan. I'm just kidding. But I mean, great for him. He's really leveraging all of that effectively. So now we're going to teach you how to hopefully get so many leads and so many deals from your alumni network that I don't know, you'll be very well off.
Yeah, we'll start with the searches then. Like, talk a
Yeah.
little bit about using this search feature in the page.
Yeah, so I mean, with those, the just like any other LinkedIn search, the power is in the filters. So you can filter by the industry, you can filter by their location, you can filter by their job title, you can mash all those up together to really be able to zero in on the people with whom you want to start conversations. And it's just great, especially because even if you don't know that person, or if you're connected by first degree but you don't necessarily really know them, and we all have people in our network like that,
Mhm.
because of the collegiate connection, you actually have a warmer reason to go in and hopefully start a conversation with that person rather than not having that.
Yeah, and I love that. Now, if you go to and by the way, I need to do equal shout out to Rutgers as well. So we're not but while we have lots of schools, little schools, big schools, there's typically something happening. So if they win a game or maybe they're in the news or something, that is a lot of fodder to start a conversation, right? So there are so many opportunities, and the search will just help you to find your ideal prospects that happened to have gone to your alumni. We can also add in other relationship filters as well, and you can add in the years. So, for
Mhm.
example, if 1986 to 1990, right? If I wanted to add in my years, I still may not know them, but we were there at the same time. So there are so many different ways to use that search and to start a conversation. In fact, some of the other things we're going to talk about as we go through this will help us to start conversations.
Yep. So the next section that we're going to talk about is joining alumni groups, and I think that this is really important because there are actually several types of alumni groups. With LinkedIn, I've colleges that either myself or even my wife are involved with. Not only are there like national groups, there's also groups that are divided by industry. There are also groups divided by localities that serve certain localities as
Mhm.
well. So there are several different ways to get into alumni groups that can really help you out.
Yeah, and they're pretty simple to find. Now, sometimes a college or university may have their groups listed on their page, and we'll talk about other opportunities that are listed on the page as well. Other times, you just go up to the nine dots at the top that says for business. There's a groups button up there. And when you click on that groups button, you're able to search in the search bar, just put in your college or university's name and pull it from the drop down, and you'll be able to see. So, my college has like 6 different groups. Some that's just for culinary, some that's like they're just different groups. So find out the ones that twofold, one, that you relate to, but also that your prospects might relate to as well.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. And just a really quick tip, if you are involved in like a physical group, so in other words, doesn't necessarily have a LinkedIn connection, like
Oh,
for
yeah.
example, we've been trying to get our Ohio State one for my wife involved in LinkedIn. It hasn't happened yet, but volunteer to set up a group for your local groups.
That's brilliant. Brilliant, right? So just I'm going to break that down. Let's say you're Ohio State in Lexington, Kentucky, and you want a networking group. It's Ohio State alumni in Lexington, Kentucky. You can
Yep.
own that group. I
Yep.
love that. Now,
Bluegrass Buckeyes.
yeah,
That's
I
what they're
love
called.
that. Now, if your wife is in a pharmaceutical role, right? So she could actually do pharmaceutical professionals from Ohio State. Doesn't have to be location, right? It could be her industry as
Yep.
well. I love that.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Next
Brilliant.
one. Speaking of being a little entrepreneurial and startup related in terms of your thought processes, alumni referral program. So this involves creating a referral program specifically for your alumni network, where you're offering incentives for people who refer clients or customers to your business. That could be discounts, exclusive access, rewards. The good old promotion codes or whatever you want to say. All of that type of stuff can actually work really really well, and plus because it's based on a college or university, there's like that extra special feeling there too, that it's another alumni, whatever. That always confuses me, helping out a fellow alumni or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know is alumnus or alumni, but I think,
I
hmm, that's good for Grammarly search.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Great question on that one, but I love this idea. And now the referral program, it could go in a few different directions, but what you want to do is you want to take a look at who are your best referral partners generally. So for us, our best referrals are typically sales trainers or our clients that have gone through this, right? So
Mhm.
let's just stick with sales trainers. So if we went in and we looked at all the sales trainers that went to Ohio State, all of a sudden, right, there's some synergy, and there are also people we can refer. So there's some synergy and some opportunity to connect through, that the alumni relationship, and you've targeted in on the right people. The other thing is you could have a Buckeye discount, right? So on your website, mention you're a Buckeye, and um, and whatever it might be, right? Whatever that is.
Mhm.
So,
There's yeah, so many different ways you can go there. Yeah, absolutely.
but when you create that connection, and it's an emotional connection. So I went to Johnson and Wales, which is, a culinary hospitality school. It was just in Rhode Island at the time. Now they have campuses around the country. And when someone reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I see you went to Johnson Wells. I went to the campus in Colorado," and I'm like, immediately I'm going to respond because I have that bond, right? It just is, and so we want to take advantage of that, um, on both sides, right? I want to help someone that's an alumni, but an alumni may want to help me too. So that program is great. The next one I love,
Well,
Bob.
actually,
Talk
we have a question really quick.
Ooh,
Do you have to get permission from the university to create subgroups? I don't think you absolutely have to do that. I mean, it's always nice to have support, but, a lot of times, especially with, like, local groups, they will go through the alumni group to get, like, help and things like that. Normally, alumni groups do have, processes and things in place to help out groups that wanna be set up like that. So, I would say it probably doesn't hurt to reach out, but I don't think you absolutely have to.
yeah, that is a great question. Yeah, if a question ever comes up like that, the answer is always err on the side of precaution, right? Like,
Yeah.
make sure that you feel comfortable and that they can't come back to you in, a year and say, "Oh, no, 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 you got to take this down," after all the work that you put into it.
Yep.
We faced this very early on LinkedIn. We did a group. I can't remember. It was LinkedIn brainstorming or some kind of group that was called LinkedIn something. And about 10 years ago, maybe 8, I'm not sure, but they came out and said you can't use LinkedIn in the name of a group. And we had, I don't know, 7 or 8,000 people in that group that it went away completely. Now we have another group that has like 4,000, and I stopped. It sucked the wind out of my sail around
Mhm.
groups on that in that perspective. But yeah, so that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really good point, a really good question. Next, we're moving on to alumni events. So these are events that could be physical, in person, especially for like those local groups, because obviously those are meant to be local, or webinars or even workshops. May give you an excuse to go back to campus if you really want to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
So use those opportunities to network, showcase your expertise because those are networking meetings, except they're extra, they should be extra special because this is a group of people whom you already share an affinity.
Yeah, like, when we were building today's curriculum out, I went to my alumni page and I poked around and I said, what do I see here? And when I look, I mean, they have an enormous amount of events that are coming up. So
Mhm.
I could go in and I could view the event and I could see actually who some of the attendees were. It's pretty cool the amount of information that you can find right from that company page, so, or the alumni page, right? So I
Alumni.
just looked up my college and I clicked on the events page, and that's it. That's all. Now obviously Bob's talking about other ways to do that. You could go on um, their website and see if there are events there for sure. But from a LinkedIn perspective,
Mhm.
this is a great way to click through and see what's going on. And by the way, if you say you're attending, you can see all of the other attendees. So it's another opportunity to engage.
100%. Love that. Love that. So the next area is the alumni newsletter or blog. So they all have newsletters. I mean, let's face it.
Mhm.
If they didn't, they wouldn't be doing their job right. So you can actually reach out and ask to be featured. You can also, if you'd like, create your own newsletter or blog focused on alumni related content. And obviously this is a great way to share about your business, your insights into your industry, and success stories, and all that type of thing, just to keep people engaged, essentially.
Yeah, and there are two kinds of newsletters. Sure, there's more than two kinds of newsletters, but there's one that's going out in the email, and there's one that goes out on LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, you can jump in. Like when I went and I'm doing my research and I'm on my homepage, one of the first things I saw when I would scroll down is there is a newsletter section and it says I'm subscribed. I was already subscribed. I didn't realize it, and it said, university news and announcements. So I clicked through and I looked through this, and right now they only have one that they put out. That's it. So I'm thinking, boy, I could reach out and say, hey, I'd love to write a newsletter. I can interview a few people, a few alumni. Like there's some opportunity there. There are 123 plus thousand followers of this newsletter, and they've only sent it out once. So it's interesting, Bob, that you said if they don't have, I'm sure they have a regular email newsletter.
Right.
There's this LinkedIn opportunity
Yeah.
where you could reach out and you can help. You can, there's
Yep.
lots of things that you could do. If they have an active LinkedIn newsletter, as Bob said, what content could you add that would be helpful to the alumni that would receive it? So
Mhm.
all those fabulous things. What is
Yeah.
next?
So, we talk a lot about in previous episodes, and if you just listen to us in general, we talk a lot about using influencers to extend your reach to people who share the same thoughts, the same ideas, the same interests, but using the influencer as kind of that bridge or conduit to do that. Same thing, except specifically with your alumni. So I think all schools have influential alumni to where someone says the name, it's like, oh yeah, they went to my school. Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
cool. So, here though, because you have that commonality again, you can reach out to them for collaboration opportunities depending on what they do, obviously. Things like guest blogging, joint webinars, endorsements, anything along those lines, because they'll help you expand your reach and credibility among alumni.
yeah, I love that. And finding actual influencers may seem daunting, right? How am I going to go out and I'm going to find influencers from the company page? But you can actually search in the free. So you could go, if I did Penn State and manufacturing, like that, if that's what I'm looking for, and I could go ahead and see folks that went to Penn State that are in manufacturing. And I can see some, I could go into first and second degree connections, and then I can check to see how active they are. Now, if you have Sales Navigator, there is active in the last 30 days. And that is a wonderful way to take a look at of alumni in a certain industry that happens to be active, and you can look at their content, and if you have that synergy, follow them and engage, and then come back to Bob's thoughts around what can you do together, what can you collaborate, how do you can you do joint webinars
Right.
that's promoted as Buckeye manufacturing professionals, I don't know, right?
Something like that, yeah, and just make sure that it's a win-win too, because obviously you want both the person who you're trying to get with, as well as yourself, to really benefit from this, and hopefully just, the coming together of two great personalities, and all of the content and insights and value that you have to share should be enough to benefit the audience in general, as well as you and the person that you're partnering with.
Love that. All right,
Next,
Bob. Yeah, next.
mentoring program for alumni. So search alumni by the years that they graduated, and offer to be their mentor. So by doing this, for either current students or recent graduates, it could actually be either. You establish your expertise, you can build relationships that may or may not pay off down the line, but in the meantime, you're genuinely helping someone, and that in and of itself is great, because again, sharing value, sharing expertise, that's you can never go wrong with doing that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that one, Bob. And because you can search your university, and then you can put in 2001 to or 2001 2021 to 2023, you'll get your juniors, your seniors, the people that graduated. You can even do to 2022, 2024. I'm not good in with numbers. You go to 2024, and you're going to get people that haven't graduated yet. And so for me, when I'm thinking about doing this, I'm going to reach out to marketing majors. I'll reach out to folks that, couple of things I can help without a lot of time, right? So we can maybe grant a scholarship for our e-learning program, or maybe I can, I don't know, lots of things that you could do. I could interview them for a podcast about their dreams and what they're studying. There's so much that we can do, and we're building relationships now that help them. And in the future, they're going to be in positions where we probably will want to reach out to them. So it's a win, 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 win. I love that one.
Win, 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 win. Everybody wins. That's obviously what we
You
all
get a car, and you get a
you get
car.
a car. Everybody gets a car except for
I
Oprah. I
know.
don't think she got a car that day. But
I think
anyhow,
lots of cars.
so the next one, and this I like. I think it's kind of genius. Alumni spotlight features, where you are actually highlighting successful alumni on your LinkedIn profile. And this could be like in your website, social media in general, and things like that too. So, especially when you can showcase how your products or services have contributed to their success, because you're kind of getting a twofer at that point, and all that's just wow, fantastic.
Beyond love that, and it just made me think. So we do this, but not with alumni. You can do this
Right.
with alumni. I'm going to put in, um, if you go to socialsaleslink.com/nominate. Now, this is not alumni generated.
Yeah, that's
Um, but oops, wrong one. Here it is. Here it is. /nominate.
yep.
You can nominate an influencer, and it could be someone from your alumni or not. But one of the things that we like to do is have an influencer of the week. So you can do an alumni in, Buckeye manufacturer influencer of the month, or whatever it is that you want to do. So yeah, I agree, Bob. That's another good one. I like
Yeah,
that. You can
100.
use things. So you can use a post, but you can also use kudos,
Mhm.
which feature, or and in addition, put out a recommendation inside of LinkedIn. So there are a lot of things that you can do to highlight that person. And a Canva image of them saying influencer of the week with your, you know, if you're allowed to use your college colors and
Right.
whatever, right?
Yep.
Um, so lots of wonderful things. I
Yeah.
love that spotlight. I think we have two more.
We have two more. So number one, this is a little more kind of direct sales, but still it could be valuable for people in your audience, or as for alumni. And that's just alumni exclusive offers where you've got exclusive offers or discounts, packages, whatever, tailored specifically for your alumni network that you can promote through LinkedIn and other communications channels.
Yeah, and I know we said discounts, and I know I think when we're putting this together, I said discounts, but it could also be free things. Come as my
Yep.
guest, right? And I
Yep.
think it's more powerful if you invite them as a guest than saying, hey, you get a discount. But
Yep.
if they choose to buy, you can offer that discount. So I love that.
Yeah.
And
100%.
last but not least,
Alumni testimonials and case studies. So this is where you're saying, "Hey, we've done business together. We're alumni. Uh, could you possibly consider dropping me a testimonial or taking part in a case study?" And reverse this as well. Offer testimonials and case studies to the people in your network as well, because you should give very, very much so, as well as take. And I do mean take in quotes, because it's not really taking.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, you proactively start the roll bowling, the ball rolling,
Yep.
the the ball rolling with that, and I love that. And if you're going to take advantage of the alumni side of this, just say as a fellow Buckeye, it was so great to work with, right? If you're going to put it out there, if you're leveraging that alumni name, then take advantage of it completely.
Yeah.
Well, that
Excellent.
was a lot of 10.
That was a lot of stuff, but this was a very rich and deep subject, and there are many, many ways that you can use all of this stuff to help you build your business, and also, as we've demonstrated in several places, help other
Mhm.
people out as well. So it's all fantastic.
You're
So
awesome, Bob Woods.
we are awesome, Brent Tillman. So thanks again for joining us on Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter right now, we do this every week. So keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us recorded on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button to access all of our previous shows and be alerted when new ones drop. For more info, socialsaleslink.com/podcast. We do 2 shows weekly. We do this one and our Making Sales Social interview series, where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many, many more areas that you know and love. So when you are out and about, be sure to make sure your sales are.
Social. Bye,
Have a
guys.
great day, everybody.